Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. Bihar government, that is the Nitish Kumar government, today released the caste census report, where the general category, if you look at the details of the report, the general category forms 15%, scheduled caste 19%, ST, that is scheduled tribes 1.6%. In terms of the religion-wise breakup, the report says that 81.9% of the population are Hindus, 17.7% are Muslims. Now, this report has evoked widespread political reactions, with BJP and NDA allies saying that this is an eyewash. It is a divisive tactics on the part of the opposition. Whereas if you look at the India alliance partners and the member parties, they are saying that the step is historic and they have already demanded a pan-India caste census. So the question we are asking is that how big and how significant is this caste census report, which has been released by the Nitish Kumar government? How does it change the politics from here on? And can the caste politics and the caste census politics, can it really demolish the Hindutva politics? Joining me now is a very special panel. We have senior journalist and editor Javed Ansari with us. Thank you so much, Javed. We have TK Rajlakshmi, deputy editor from the Frontline. Thank you, Rajlakshmi. Sharad Gupta, senior journalist and editor. Thank you so much. We have Gautam Sarkar, who was formerly with Times of India, and he joins us from Bihar. Thank you so much, Gautam. And we have Pushpraj Deshpande, who's the director of the Samrid Bharat Foundation. Thank you, Pushpraj. And let me begin with Javed Ansari. Javed, how would you really see this caste census report, which has been released by the Nitish Kumar government? And are we in a position to say that the findings and the outcomes of this report will really put BJP on the back foot?
Look, as far as the political fallout is concerned, we can make an intelligent guess, but the jury is still out on that. This is not the first time when the Mandal Commission report was implemented or made public. Even then, I mean, it ended up dividing society, and it also led to, it drew the political lines in a very stark way. Mandal led to Kamandal, and you know, the rest is history. So how this will take, what turn this will take, and who will end up as the principal beneficiaries, as far as Mandal is concerned, it did help it did help the OBC parties, the JD, especially the Janta Parivar. It was Janta Dal then, and then it became RJD and JDS, right, and JDU, etc., etc. So we know that if these parties have been clamoring for this kind of identity based, they've been very strong votaries of caste-based reservations, and they've reaped the whirlwind. They've politically reaped it. Enjoyed the benefits of it. It's another thing that they weren't able to sustain it. They weren't able to sustain it because the creamy layer amongst the OBCs, they are the ones who captured or garnered the maximum benefits, and the EBCs were left. So while it will also lead to a tremendous amount of churning in social churning, it will also lead to churning within the OBC camp, because the EBCs will now demand that they get their due share, and they must get proportionate share also. It's not just OBCs versus forwards, it's also EBCs. They must get their share. And I'm not surprised with the political reactions. It's a very, very significant step. And the natural corollary to this will be that the India Alliance will now very strongly put forward this demand for a caste-based census at the central level. This demand was made, but then Mamata Banerjee had reservations, and in deference to her wishes, they put it in abeyance. But now this demand is going to gain further traction. And what happens next? And BJP is not going to sit and allow this issue to capture the narrative. The BJP will also go back to the drawing board, and I'd be very curious to know on what they have up their sleeve.
Right.
I'm not surprised by the findings. What was de facto has now become de jure. We largely knew that the numbers would be along these
more
lines.
or less the same.
But now it has a legal sanction to it. So it's very significant. This is an issue that cannot be wished away.
Right. Absolutely. It is certainly a historic step. But Gautam, if I may come to you, and you would know the Bihar politics very closely. Nitish Kumar is being criticized by people like Samrat Chaudhary, who is the BJP state president of Bihar. And he has said that it's a half-baked report. And because the economic survey has not been released, the economic divisions have not been clearly mentioned. So which means that this report or the outcomes of this report are not going to impact the way India Alliance has been wishing for. How would you really explain this fact? Is this some kind of a political tactics which you see on the part of the Nitish Kumar government, not giving the economic breakup of the various castes?
Well, this is what actually happening in Bihar. Right. You say very rightly. Actually, look, the government of India didn't conduct any census after 2011. Okay. Initially, Nitish said, yeah, it is a part. We are conducting this survey to know the conditions of the people, the status of the people, caste basis. Now it all of a sudden jumped in conclusion. So these are the facts. These are the percentage of OBCs, other castes, creamy layers, and even religiously, there's Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, etc. Now the question is, this is purely a political gimmick played by Nitish. He tried to malign the character of BJP. BJP is Hindutva. Actually, BJP for preparing the coming Lok Sabha polls, Nitish go ahead with this. I think this is a trump card to indulge BJP in another track, to divert its BJP's political agenda in another track. He just
you believe. So, Gautam, you are saying that this is a trump card in the sense that it will derail the Hindutva politics of BJP.
Yeah. And unfortunately, if you look at the census report, who are the minorities? Who are the minorities? The minorities, if you say in Hindutva, I say if you look in the index of the index, you find the upper caste, that is the creamy layers, they are actually the minorities in Bihar. And the most unfortunate thing is there should be a census based on economic status, because the days now have changed. You know, a OBC, he has the privilege to, even there are so many instances, the ST candidates, they became IAS, IPS, where a Brahmin of North Bihar is just begging on the street. What do you say about this? This is not, if Nitish is claiming, look, I will just try to create a new society where everything will be equal, there is no disparity, no. But this is a funny thing. This is simply a political gimmick.
Now, let me go to Pushpraj now. Pushpraj, what Gautam is saying, that it's simply a political gimmick played by the Nitish Kumar government. And if they were so well-intentioned about, changing the society and reforming the society and talking about social justice, then why didn't he come up with the economic status of the various communities as well? Now, here I'm looking at a graphics, which is also talking about the representation of various communities, like the Brahmins, they are 3.66%, Rajputs 3.45%, Bhumihars 2.66%, Yadavs 14%, that's like phenomenal, Kurmi 2.07%, Musahars, that is 3%. Why not also come out with the economic status of the various communities? Now, is this not a political gimmick on which Nitish Kumar will be criticized? And BJP, yes, Javed, you want to make a point? Yes.
Yeah, the last time something similar was done, was attempted, was by the Sachar committee. They came out with the economic status, and they came out with the economic status about, it showed revealed some very stark facts about where minorities are placed economically. They were at par or even below SC, ST. And who are the ones who who opposed it. The very forces which are now demanding an economic survey, an economic survey, they are the ones who opposed it. It was the BJP which was at the forefront of opposing that, and they say this is the biggest cross that Mr. Manmohan Singh had to bear, that he was accused of appeasing minorities.
All right. Okay, so Pushpraj, the same question, what BJP is saying, that it's a divisive tactics, it's an eyewash by the Nitish Kumar government, and as what Gautam said, that it's a political gimmick.
Hi, Niluji. See, let's take a step back from what you are arguing right now on the actual nuts and bolts of the survey. There are multiple things that one could do more, not just the economic, this thing, one could also look at assets, one could also look at bank statements, physical and non-physical assets is something that we could also include as part of the survey. And no one is saying that the government may still not release it, the Mahagathbandhan government in Bihar. I don't want to talk about that, the nuts and bolts of that. There is certainly politics involved in that. So I agree with what the previous panelist is saying. Let us look, instead of all of this, let's look at this from the normative point of view at the national level, macro level. There is, I know for a fact that there is this huge bipartisan consensus of the fact that in all parties, that Kamandal politics was necessary to cut Mandal politics. That it was necessary. Sorry?
Mandal politics necessary to cut Kamandal.
No, politics. The other way around. The Kamandal politics that the BJP won, the NDA won under Vajpayee and this one, was necessary to undercut, to sort of step back the Mandal politics that started in the early 90s. And there is this bipartisan consensus on this. And if you think about this, this is a very glib way of perpetuating caste hegemonies that are also inside political parties. And if you look at the composition of the bureaucracy, the political parties, the media, the corporate sector, there is a consensus. Let's not do anything to disrupt the status quo. That is why many parties are not willing to release the SECC data from 2011 to 13. And if you remember, Javed Saab and others here are journalists who know what happened in the UPA government. There was a faction within the UPA government that was refusing to release the data. I know that it was not conducted with the caste census for certain reasons. Similarly, and even this government, the BJP government, is saying that they will not conduct the caste census either in the Supreme Court. They've said this in the Supreme Court and in the Parliament. But I don't want to absolve other non-BJP governments also. Other governments, state governments, have conducted caste surveys, but they're not released the data. Why? They've not released the data because, like the Bihar survey, if it suddenly quantifies what is the actual proportion of communities, there is broadly a scientific template. One could disagree with the methodology that is used for the surveys and what is the kind of mapping that they could have done. But if it maps broadly on a scientific basis, the community composition, parties anticipate a counter reaction from upper caste who are controlling the corporate sector, the bureaucracy, the media, and so on and so forth. But in that sense, I mean, this is a very, if you think about it, this basically paints the entire upper caste as regressive, socially backward, and uneducated. I don't think that is the case. And parties are going to have to bite the bullet. And to the credit of the Congress Party's Raipur declaration, they have taken a lead on this, saying that we are not just committing to the caste census, but also the subcategorization. And they have started by putting up the reservation, Article 6A and D in the party's constitution actually guarantees reservations for the SC, ST, OBCs and women within the party organization. That's step one. But what about the others? What about the larger policy implications? In this sense, the Bihar survey throws the lid of this cauldron. Now, every state government is going to be under pressure to conduct this. And I personally feel that there are both moral and political considerations. People have talked about the political considerations, that it sort of muddies the water for the BJP, who's trying to create this Hindutva bloc. And this is very, very crucial because 41% of upper caste dominant OBCs voted for them in the Lok Sabha election 2019, but 47% of non-dominant caste OBCs voted for them. So the fact of the matter is, if you want to muddy the waters in the BJP's Hindutva vote bank, you need to do caste census. That's one thing. But my point is something else. There is a moral consideration. If you really want to substantively deepen your social justice paradigm, you want to genuinely further equality, liberty, equity, then you need to start getting onto this. And the sooner you get onto this bandwagon, the better it is. And right now, frankly speaking, no government wants to get involved in this. They think that this is morally and ethically needed, but they want another government to do it. That's the problem.
Right. So the
And
executive.
I think to the credit, Bihar government has bit that bullet. So we
Right.
must give them credit for that.
Right. Okay. All right. So you're generous in saying that the Bihar government should be given the credit. But I was coming to this point, and Charaji, I'll come to you now. I was just looking at Tejasvi Yadav's soundbite about 45 minutes ago. He said that, it's a big achievement of the Nitish Kumar government. And what just Pushparaj pointed out, that, of course, the credit has to be given to the Nitish Kumar government. But what about the other India alliance partners? Say, for example, Rahul Gandhi, who during the discussion of during the women's reservation bill also raked up the OBC issue. He came up with a list of union secretaries, some 90 there, and just about 3 from the OBC community. So a lot of credit at that point of time was given to Rahul Gandhi as well. And so when it comes to the credit taking, would Bihar government walk away with this credit solely? Or will we also include other India alliance partners into it, that they have a fair share in, in waking up this whole narrative around the caste census politics? Yes, Sharaji.
Of course, all parties, in fact, JDU and Congress especially, and RJD also, they are going to share the credit. And there are a couple of other points I want to make. Because Rahul Gandhi, a couple of days back in his speech, again underlined the need for OBC reservation with women quota and separate OBC quota everywhere. So he has been vociferous advocate of OBC quota, and this caste census has put all other parties and especially the state governments under pressure to conduct a similar survey, because now the demand will be to grant OBCs 63% reservation. That opens such a caste cauldron which BJP will be under pressure to handle. Especially since its biggest state, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has categorically refused to conduct a caste census. So how are they going to combat this? In fact, one arsenal in their one thing in their arsenal was the Rohini Committee report, which everybody expected the center to table in the last special session of Parliament. The report had been submitted to the government by Rohini Committee on 31st of July. So everybody expected them to table it, but they didn't, for reasons best known to them, because that was one thing with which they could have countered this consensus, because that gives them a platform to show that all these dominant castes, backward castes, like say Yadavs, Meenas, Kurmis, Patidars, they have been cornering all the team in reservation. So even if all this data is released by the BJP, by the Bihar government, still, what is the use unless these extremely backward castes are not given a separate quota within OBC quota? So within 27% reservation so far given to OBCs, a major proportion, maybe 20%, maybe 22, 23%, has been garnered by these dominant castes. So if Rohini Committee report was there, so then BJP would have countered that all this caste system is a sham, because in any case, all the quota benefits are cornered by only the dominant 4-5 castes. So, but they have lost the train, they have missed the train, and now the ball is in BJP's court, how to counter it. And I don't think it will be easy for them to come up with an explanation other than just supporting the casteness.
I have a question for Sharaji. What prevents the BJP from tabling or making public the Rohini Commission report now? And in case they do so, do you think they will be able to counter Nitish and the India Alliance on the OBC issue?
Of course, they can say that in any case, majority of the benefits are being cornered by just 5-6 castes. So even if there is 63% reservation, So out of the 63%, if
I'll
they
come
are
to.
granted entire 63% reservation, 60% will be cornered by just 5-6 cars. So this is just sham. ये तो खुद यादव और कुर्मी अपने लिए कर रहे हैं. That is what they are going to say.
Right.
But now, since the commission was constituted by the center by the parliament, so the report was supposed to be tabled on the parliament within the parliament only. So now the next session of the parliament, I think there will be winter session.
Right.
So the report can be tabled only in say, December only, not before that.
Right. Yeah, Pushpraj also wanted to make a point. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Saraji was saying
Yeah,
and
I'll come
to
to.
answer Javed question. Sir, the Rohini Commission report, Javed Saab, the Rohini Commission report's data is based on the 1931 census. So the fact of the matter is, even if they do release the data, it's not even 2011. They're not use the SECC data. So if they do release this data, the fact of the matter is, it's going to be a battle of numbers then. Because what these, so for instance, this one, along with the the OBC dominant caste, non-dominant caste, and Dalits, it's about 83, and Adivasis, it's about 83%. The Bihar thing. If you go by the 1931 census, it's actually something around 70% in Bihar. So if you do this, basically they will end up saying that all the other parties, non-BJP parties, will say, "Ye to aapko kam dena cha rahe hai." They want to limit you to certain numbers and so on and so forth. So this is something that the BJP can't risk. It just can't risk releasing the, and of course, it also offers subcategorization, which they don't want to touch.
Right. All right. Now, Rajalakshmi, if I may come to you, BJP also has a parallel political narrative of the politics of the beneficiaries. Now, they are trying to do social engineering in their own way, reaching out to various communities. And now with this caste census report having come out, do you think that the politics really is going to change from here on? What happens to the Labharthi politics of BJP? Will they be in a position to counter what India Alliance will offer in terms of the caste census?
Yeah. See, first of all, Neelu, I think the High Court, also ruled. I think it was the Bihar High Court, which ruled that, that in fact, no state can be sort of prevented from collecting data, okay, for the welfare of its people, right? So first of all, data is required, okay, and that is something that the central government, has not been doing, adequately. Okay, we all know about the consumption expenditure survey, which has not been done, which will in fact show, what proportion of income do people spend on food, etc. Right? So and of course the census, the national census itself, it's not been done. I mean, the exercise still has not been started. So anyway, so I think that apart. But the fact that sub-categorization, in fact, can be done, has also been upheld by the Supreme Court. So as far as that goes, for instance, why would any government collect data and do a sub-categorization? It is essentially done to ensure that the most deprived, or in fact, or the people who ought to be sort of getting welfare benefits do ultimately get it, right? So there is I think logic behind it. Now as far as the BJP goes, yes, it will not be very happy with this situation, because it has been opposed to the collection of such data right from the beginning, despite the fact that it's been trying to sort of promote itself as a big champion of OBC rights and OBC status. For instance, the Prime Minister himself, has never stopped short of saying that he comes, he's an OBC, person, and that and that what more could the country want? But the fact is that actual representation of OBCs, STs, and SCs still remains extremely poor, when it comes to even central government jobs, or even vacancies in central government universities, central universities. Okay, so there is some data. In fact, Dharmendra Pradhan, he told the Rajya Sabha, he's a minister. He's a union minister for higher education. He told the Rajya Sabha in August that 42% of teaching positions, okay, which are reserved for OBC, ST, and SC candidates in 45 central universities are lying vacant. Okay, and finally, when these vacancies are there, then finally who occupies these vacancies? It's the general category people who occupy these vacancies. Okay, so this means to say that affirmative action should continue in this country, and it should continue in a in a way that that redistributive justice. Okay, first we're talking about social justice, right? In fact, the constitution mandates social justice. Of course, reservations came much later. Okay, it was not there when the constitution was framed, but the principle that people ought to be represented, so in fact equally, right. So in fact that was underlying theme in the constitution, and it is that principle which is taken forward, and we find that even 75 years after after independence, and even after the implementation of the reservation policy, we find that close to around 63 or even more, if you add the STs also together, they constitute the majority of people in this country today. Okay, and they still sort of continue to be in fact unrepresented, either in politics, or either in the economy, and so on and so forth, right? So that under representation ought to be addressed by this sub-categorization exercise, right? And which is what the state government of Bihar has done, right? So, and in fact, the fact that the creamy layer is excluded, within the OBCs, is a fact, and it's by law. So it's not that those same people are going to sort of perpetuate themselves. Even promotions in SC and ST are sort of looked at into. It's not that it's generational and it's done repeatedly, right? So there is a system to sort of ensure that the creamy layer does not get perpetuated. So as far as this is concerned, this whole issue is concerned, I think the BJP's the only alternative is what it did in the 90s is to go on a commendal offensive, right? To sort of counter the mandal. In fact, there is this the organization called the NGO Youth for Equality. Okay, they're already sort of questioning. It says that it breaches the Puttaswamy judgment. Okay, in fact, I recall when I was a student, and the ABVP and also the NSU at that point had sort of objected to the Mandal Commission recommendations. So I was in a different student youth organization which sort of supported the Mandal formula. So at that point there was a Youth for Equality, right, who had gone on the streets saying that reservations nahi hona chahiye, hamara kya hoga, right? Okay, so and they sort of represented the upper castes, the general category people. So I think that there is bound to be some kind of reaction to this also. But I think the fundamental question also remains, Neelu, is that where are the government jobs? Okay, for here, for instance, the government has been sort of pulling out. Has been pulling out its hand, from sort of strengthening, the public sector. Okay, it's been sort of increasingly privatizing its resources. Public resources are being privatized. So here you have in fact, one contradiction of this entire thing also. But at the same time, we can't we can't oppose affirmative action. We have to ensure that this sub categorization also is implemented in every state, and in fact every state is free to do it. Every state is free to do it by law. They can do it for the welfare. Yeah.
And I think in that context, BJP is a little exposed today with this caste census report, which has been released. Now, Gautam, talking about the political fallout and the kind of backlash which we may see. Now, coming to you first, because you are in Bihar, and what does Nitish Kumar government from here on do? What is going to be the first step? Where I was reading a short while back that probably they are calling a meeting of all the political parties. But what about the execution of the report? Are they serious about executing the report as well? What will they do? What is the action plan for the Nitish Kumar government now in the coming days?
Okay. I can't say what is the exact they will do, but one thing I would like to say, before this election, Nitish has done a tremendous work that he splitted the OBC category, and he created a Mahadalit. He identified the Mahadalit group. Okay, so my previous panelists, they are saying it is a tremendous job. It is a very challenging job, which other political parties or any state they used to do avoid it. Why Nitish has done it? Because Nitish has the courage. He has faced. He actually won the election, last election, with the help of this Mahadalit community's vote. If you go to see the data and figure, you find all the JDU, the places where JDU on the assembly seats, the maximum contribution to the voters, that is the Mahadalits. So Nitish has the courage to face them. And actually, he says we are going to make a good society where people have every facility. To whom about he is speaking? He is speaking about that very community people. So actually, he started to mobilizing them by giving them a recognition, a identification. Okay, I have done it. I have mentioned you in the forefront. Now come to my, now give me the return. Now transfer the vote bank to me. This is actually happening. And for that, he will start, the party will start their activities shortly.
No, but Gautam, does it ensure there are 40 Lok Sabha seats in Bihar? Now, does this narrative ensure that the Mahagathbandhan or the Grand Alliance government in Bihar will succeed in garnering the maximum seats, the maximum Lok Sabha seats?
Yeah, it could be possible, because if you see the previous pattern of the voting pattern, you may find the maximum, the chunk of the upper caste votes, they are popularized. Okay, but popularized. But during this last 1 or 2 elections, either Lok Sabha or state assembly elections, these vote banks, they are shifted towards BJP. Towards this JDU or RJD. So this Nitish tried to format he tries to mobilize them. Once he tries to mobilize them, and his approach is to address them and mobilize them for their own.
All right. So you are saying that it might help him in garnering maximum Lok Sabha seats in Bihar. Now, Pushparaj, yes. Now, Pushparaj, if I may come to you. So does this mean that now increasingly there will be a lot of pressure on the other opposition ruling states? I was just looking at Mr. Digvijay Singh's soundbite just a short while back. He said that if Congress comes back to Congress forms a government in Madhya Pradesh, then we're going to have a caste census there as well. Now, does this mean, and I was reading Jairam Ramesh's tweet where he's talking about a similar caste census in Karnataka. Now, is this going to be like some kind of a trickle effect where the champion, of course, is Nitish Kumar, and we are going to have a trickle effect all over in the opposition ruling states? Yes, Pushparaj.
See, I'm actually quite excited about the opportunities that this offers, because if you think about it, the genie is out of the bag, Niluji. The Indian freedom struggle was the first democratic upsurge. The 1980s threw up the second democratic upsurge. Whether we realize it or not, it's a historic opportunity, because potentially it could roll out the third democratic upsurge, because there are only 2 natural outcomes out of this caste survey. One, we just need one other state government to conduct the caste survey, whether it's Tamil Nadu or Madhya Pradesh or any other state government. The day it happens, is going to have a domino effect, and all other parties in the India Gathbandhan will be immediately looking at this very, very seriously. They've already talked about the caste census. The subcategorization follows very closely. There will be consensus on this. And I think
what happens to people like Mamata Banerjee then?
That's for them to say. I mean, it's their prerogative to announce. But what I'm saying is that this is going to be naturally is going to put this pressure, because one state government after another is going to now follow suit. The problem there is that people have been arguing that this may also. So let me put it why that they are worried about this. They are worried because they have been fed this argument I don't want to say from where, that if you do this caste census, the BJP will force you to do an NRC CAA. The BJP can't do that. If they do that, the entire Northeast is gone for them forever, and many other states, and they're not going to link either caste census or NRC. So the India parties will automatically come around to the caste census. It's just a matter of time. That's one thing. And the second thing, which none of us are really realizing, the minute you quantify this in a scientific manner, as Bihar has done, the natural question is going to be, you have reservations for SCs, you have reservations for STs. What about reservations for OBCs in legislatures, at the assembly and the national level? That is really going to disrupt the status quo. And the BJP is not prepared for this, because it will really, really change the political trajectory of India perpetually.
It's not just that, Nilu. It's
Yes.
also about going beyond the enumeration. The basic step is enumerating, right? As to what proportion are these these people form a part in the overall population. But beyond that, for instance, you have to try to locate them. For instance, where are they located socially? Where are they located politically? Where are they located economically? And where are they located educationally, right? So then the state has to take certain ameliorative steps to ensure that they are part of the system and not remain either on the social margins, either on the economic margins, or on the political margins, right? So if this country, if OBCs and EBCs constitute the bulk in this country, then there is a serious issue about their underrepresentation, and SCs and STs also. So here I think in the 75th year of our country's independence, I think the central government ought to show a certain amount of magnanimity, and it should have undertaken this exercise at the center,
Absolutely,
in which it strongly opposed, right? And here you have the Bihar government, which has taken the lead, in a sense. So and I said, by law, if no state government, in fact, can be stopped from conducting this kind of an exercise, and also the categorization of caste, and then to take preemptive as well as ameliorative steps towards their welfare. Because ultimately that's the objective.
Right. Sharaji, RSS is going to celebrate its centenary year in 2025. And I'm just wondering what and how RSS is going to react to this whole basket of, this enumeration which has come out of this caste census. How is RSS going to react really? And then I'll go for the concluding comment to Javed. Yes, Sharaji.
Mohan Bhag had already said that is Dalits and OBCs, they are suppressed for last 2,000 years, and we won't mind giving them quota for 200 years. So that he has already said publicly, but I don't think that's going to be the real posture. This has been basically posturing.
So will they come out with a novel step where they're going to give representation to the SCs and the STs in RSS as well?
No way. In fact, the dilemma before the BJP, because they have already released their couple of lists of candidates for Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, and wherein they have not given even more than 7%, 6 or 7% quota for women. So there is a stark difference in their public posturing and their practice. So and probably Congress is going to give about 25-30% tickets to Muslim women. So that is the first difference between the Congress and the BJP, which the public is going to see. And after this caste census, in fact, Pandora's box has been opened, and I don't think this won't be an issue in assembly elections. This is going to be a major issue besides women reservation. So the opposition parties, India Alliance parties, can say that like BJP has done only lip service in women quota, similarly, they are not going to serve the OBCs, and means BJP is going to suffer. I think that is. But one more thing, there has been a lot of demand for OBC census in Maharashtra also.
Yes.
And as per my information, there was a meeting of Maharashtra leaders, ruling alliance leaders, just a couple of days before Ganpati Visarjan. And this demand was discussed, and they said, let's first wait for Bihar government to release the data, and then we'll look for what we have. So maybe Maharashtra government can also order OBC census.
Right.
Other castes.
So it might cost BJP dearly. And the concluding comment from Javed, that can this caste census politics really prove to be BJP's undoing, or is it really premature to say all of this?
Look, I won't jump to that conclusion because, I've lived through that period. I covered Mandal and Kamandal. So to counter Mandal, BJP came up with Kamandal. I'd like to see how they counter this. This is a battle for narratives. They believed that they had set the narrative, captured the imagination of the Neelu Vyases of the world by bringing in women's reservation. The India Alliance has come up with caste. And now it will be very difficult for political parties to publicly oppose this.
Right.
The BJP finds itself in the same position that the Congress party found itself when VP Singh introduced the Mandal Commission.
Right.
If you're, I don't know how many of you were around, but Sharadji will bear testimony. Rajiv Gandhi spoke for 2 hours and 40 minutes. And at the end of which, nobody was wiser whether the Congress party was supporting or opposing the bill. So the BJP will find itself in a similar position, but let's wait for what they do.
No, but I'm interested in knowing, Javed, and I think you can shed more light on that. Are we going to see a similar kind of Rath Yatra, what we saw in the 90s, where Advani was at the helm of affairs? Are we going to see something like that happening? Because already what I was reading, BJP is ready with its 100 Raths, which will move around throughout the country. They'll have drones, this, that. So are we going to see something on that line?
Maybe certainly. They are a party that fights for every inch of the turf, every inch of the political turf. They are not going to walk away. So, look, Ram Mandir, when a new railway train is flagged off, when there's an e-launch of a railway train, it's done with huge fanfare. Imagine the Ram Mandir being inaugurated. It's not going to be a Sadharan affair. And then they've already kept the pot boiling as far as Mathura and Kashi are concerned.
Yes.
So they could up the ante there.
Right.
But the first mover advantage in this battle of narratives is with the India Alliance. The India Alliance, for better or for worse, should now put its shoulder to the wheel and support this wholeheartedly.
Right. So the battle is with the India Alliance, and probably Nitish is emerging as one of the champions. Sharadji, you raise your hand. You wanted to make a point, and then I'll come to Raj. Yes.
Yeah. In fact, BJP is already prepared a pitch by creating a lot of temples, Kashi corridor, Ayodhya temple, then Omkareshwar temple, Ujjain corridor. So, in fact, they have been unfurling this religious fervor, and I think post-December, as soon as the date for Ayodhya inauguration comes closer, so they are going to create such a fervor which might make people forget the caste census.
Right. All right. Yes, Pushpraj, you wanted to say something? And then I'll end this.
No, I was just wanting to respond to what you were saying on what BJP and RSS will do. See, if anyone has been tracking them for the last 12, 13 years, they know that they have revised their position with regard to SC, ST, OBCs. There's something called Samajik Samrashtra. They no longer argue about unity and diversity. They talk about uniformity and diversity. And using Samajik Samrashtra, they have been methodically appropriating non-dominant OBCs and Dalits within both the party organization and the cabinets. Unfavorably so, but they do that. And they're doing this to create this larger block of Hindi, Hindu, Hindustan. The fact of the matter is that this is now a race. If they commit very quickly to the caste census, subcategorization, and the other policy-oriented solutions that naturally flow from the caste census, then the benefits that they're going to be dispersing from that are about roti, kapda, makan, sadak, bijli, pani, jaan, jahan, jivika. That's what it is about from the India parties. On the other hand, one second, let me just finish this. On the other hand, what the RSS and the BJP are offering is social mobility, not economic, not political mobility. They are saying that we will give you, and in fact, there is something very interesting. There is something called the RSS started some program called the Agniveer scheme, which predates the official Agniveer scheme in the government by 5 years. What they were basically telling OBC and Dalit subcaste is that you become Bhaks. start speaking Hindi, give up your regional languages, start supporting the Ram Mandir, your local temple, start going to the Shakha, you will get a new name, a new ration card, and you are adopted as, you're no longer Dalits, you're sort of this semi-OBC caste, which is part of this Hindutva bloc. That is where the official Agniveer's name came, which they have adopted to this thing. So it's a race now. It's about social mobility versus economic and political mobility.
No, but Rajlakshmi, one quick point before I end the show. Now, what happens to all the big ideas of BJP? UCC, NRCC, NRC, CAA, One Nation, One Poll. Now, does this caste census put all other issues on the back burner? And BJP actually is caught off guard. It doesn't know how to respond, and now it will have to draw a totally new line as to how they'll counter the opposition.
Well,
So the
right.
opposition in that manner is having a one-upmanship on this.
Yeah, it will go on on an overdrive, saying that the opposition is trying to divide Bharat, while we are trying to unite Bharat. They are trying to encourage caste politics, while we are trying to bring everyone under this one uniform pan Bharat identity, etc., etc. Right? But then even if it does the things that Pushparaj was saying, it can't escape from the fact, because these very castes will ask, ठीक है, ये सब तो ठीक है, but but where are we, economically, right? Are we in government? No, we are not. We are all part, of the informal, unorganized sector. Okay, we are the ones who are the rediwalas. We are the ones who work as construction workers. We are the ones who are agricultural workers, right? So then, what have you done for us? Is there there's not even a semblance of minimum wage, for an agricultural worker today, for instance, and so there's so many things that all these uncomfortable questions are going to problem. It's not enough to say hum sab Hindus hai, but then these people also know that the hookah and pani is still not allowed. You can't have hookah pani with many Hindus in this country at the same level. We have Dalits who can't sport a mustache, right? They're killed. There was an incident in Jodhpur, Rajasthan. I'm saying that these are the things, these are the people are going to ask these questions, uncomfortable questions, especially economic questions, as to where are we, in government. Yes, to theek hai, but then it's not enough to.
Absolutely. Of course, as you said, BJP will have to answer some tough questions, but I would be interested in knowing as to what kind of a narrative BJP will come up. And of course, if you have to look at the narrative immediately, I'm really waiting for some more sound bites coming in from the BJP leaders, because it's almost like more than 5 hours since the report was released, and not many sound bites have come up, except for some leaders from Bihar, which compulsively came up with some statements like Giriraj Singh, Samrat Chaudhary. So it would be interesting to follow the Twitter as well. Thank you so much, Javed Ansari, Sharad Gupta, Pushparaj, Gautam Sarkar, TK Rajlakshmi. Thank you so much. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this panel discussion: subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to The Federal.
Subscribe to The Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.